Welcome to the MTI Show. I'm Mike the Investor. Now, Voyager put out a new update regarding customers who hold USD and crypto on their platforms. So let's check out the details. Now, remember a week ago on July 5th, Voyager put out their restructuring process under a Chapter 11 to create an efficient path to resume account access and return value to the customers, hopefully. Now, as we move down and look at some of the key details, let's look at some of these questions. How does the reorganization process impact our cash, right? And so they say we are working to restore access to USD deposits, which belong to customers, and we'll go back to those same customers subject to a reconciliation and fraud prevention process. So this is part of the reorganization process they're working to get that court approval on. Now we get down to the second question. Is my money safe and will I get it all back? This is what they have to say to this. Now, Voyager says customer USD is held in a special type of bank account called a for benefit of customers, also known as an FBO. Now, the account at the Metropolitan Commercial Bank of New York. Now, the amount of USD is held in the FBO account and is equal to the amount of USD in customer's account. Now, the next question ties into this one here. Is the USD in my account FDIC insured? Now, the simple answer is yes, but it's not that simple. USD in your Voyager cash account is held at the Metropolitan Commercial Bank, MCB, and is FDI insured. That means you are covered in the event of MCB's failure up to a maximum of $250,000 per Voyager customer. Now, FDIC Insurance does not protect against failure of Voyager, so hear that again. FDIC Insurance does not protect against failure of Voyager because Voyager isn't a bank. But to be clear, Voyager does not hold customer cash. That cash is held at MCB, which is why the answer is yes. So Voyager doesn't hold customer USD is what they're telling us. On Voyager, they hold it in the bank, which gives us that FDIC insurance. So essentially, if you have USD on Voyager going through this process, we should be able to get that back. But let's move down a little bit further. Now we get into what will happen to the crypto in my account. Now this part here, we already know Voyager approximately has about 1.3 billion of crypto assets on its platform, and they've lent out more than 650 million to Three Arrows Capital, right? Check out some of the previous videos if you're a little bit unfamiliar with that. Now, under Voyager's proposed reorganization plan that was presented on Friday, which is subject to change and requires court approval, because remember, none of this is actually guaranteed. It has to be approved by the court. Now, customers will receive a combination of the following, with the ability to select the proportion of crypto and common equity they receive. Now, here are the four options. Number one, you have prorated share of crypto. Number two, prorated share of proceeds from the Three Arrows Capital recovery, which will be basically getting money from the 650 million they loaned out. You will get a portion of that. Number three, you have prorated share of common shares in the newly reorganized company, which will be basically like Voyager 2.0 or something like that. And then number four, you have prorated share of existing Voyager tokens. So basically, you can get paid out in VGX tokens. Now, before we move down to the last section here, let's briefly take a look at what does prorated mean, right? Now, basically, it just means a portion of a whole amount in some degree. But check this out. What is prorata? Which means a process where whatever is being allocated will be distributed in equal portions. If something is given to the people on a prorated basis, it means assigning an amount to one person according to their share of the whole. While a prorated calculation can be used to determine the appropriate portions of any given whole, it's often used in business finance. Now, the last section here, understanding prorata. Prorata typically, not guaranteed, but typically means that each party or person receives their fair share in the proportion to the whole. So as we go back to the Voyager, this is what they're talking about in the 4 options that we will be able to choose. If you have crypto on the platform, USD, we should hopefully be able to get that back. And then when it comes to crypto, these will be the 4 options. So essentially, in my opinion, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to potentially get it all back, but we're going to be able to get some back. And the last couple questions is going to talk about this. So if you look right here, can you tell me how much of my crypto I'll get back? The exact number will depend on what happens in the restructuring process and the recovery of 3AC assets. So it's all going to figure out what gets approved and what they can actually get back from 3AC. Now, as we move down to the last question of this press release, is this the final reorganization plan? And Voyager says the plan is subject to change, negotiation with customers, and ultimately a vote. In Voyager's case, customers are primarily creditors and will have an opportunity to vote on the proposed plan of reorganization. In other words, the company is pursuing various strategic alternatives to evaluate the value of the standalone company Voyager compared to with a third-party investment or sale. So definitely very key to keep that in mind. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on what's going on with the Voyager situation. Now, hopefully things work out for the good for us as investors. Now, as I mentioned in previous videos, I didn't have all of my crypto on Voyager, but I definitely had a nice amount on Voyager. And so I'm in the same boat for those that's, wondering what's going to happen. And I'm going to keep everybody up to date as we get more information.